Hello children and welcome to the session today. We are going to learn about living and non-living things. We are also going to learn about nutrition, autotrophic nutrition in plants and heterotrophic nutrition again in plants. We all know that there are two kinds of things around us. There are living things and there are non-living things. Living things need food to grow, living things reproduce and living things breathe in air. Non-living things do not need food to grow. Non-living things do not reproduce. Non-living things do not eat food. Non-living things do not breathe. Now coming down to food, we all know and we have learnt in our previous classes that human beings and animals depend on green plants for their food. Green plants therefore are the main source of energy on earth. They are also an important part of the food chain. Green plants prepare their own food. They use the basic ingredients like carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and water and minerals from the soil in order to prepare their own food. All green plants make their own food in the presence of solar energy, and this food is consumed by human beings and by animals. So we can conveniently classify green plants as producers and all the other animals as consumers. Coming to the nutrition in plants, the main source of energy for all life are green plants. But how do green plants prepare their own food? Before that, let us understand a few important terms. Nutrients. Any substance present in our food that gives us energy is called nutrient, and the process of deriving energy from the nutrients is known as nutrition. There are two important modes of nutrition. Number one is autotrophic and number two is heterotrophic. Autotrophic mode of nutrition. As the word itself explains, auto means own and trophic means feeding. This means that autotrophic mode is the mode of nutrition in which the organism prepares its own food. We know that green plants have an autotrophic mode of nutrition. There are also certain bacteria like sulfur bacteria which have an autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now let us understand in detail how green plants prepare their own food. Now let us understand how green plants prepare their own food. We have all learned about the process of photosynthesis. This process involves the synthesis of food using sunlight. Additionally, the plant uses carbon dioxide and minerals from the soil in order to produce their own food. Now, this production of food inside green leaves takes place in a tiny structure which is known as chloroplast. These chloroplasts have an important green pigment that is called chlorophyll. Looking at this structure, you can see here that chlorophyll are green pigments. These green pigments trap the sunlight which uses carbon dioxide and water to form the food for the plant, which is glucose, and releases oxygen as a byproduct. Now the next important question is, how does the carbon dioxide and oxygen enter the leaf? The underside of the leaf has a very important structure which is called stomata. Stomata can be equated to the windows of your house. The way the windows of our house open to let in air, similarly, the guard cells of the stomata open up to let carbon dioxide in, and after photosynthesis, they let oxygen move out of the cell. The food that is made in leaves has to be transported to various parts of the plant, and this is done by a network of tubes that run not only across the leaves but across the whole plant. These tubes are known as phloem. Additionally, there is another set of tubes known as xylem. Phloem transports food across the entire plant body and xylem transports water across the whole plant body. Now let us understand a few examples to study and prove that food is made in the leaves of the plants. In the first experiment that we are going to learn here today is testing the presence of starch in the leaves. Now, as you can see in the apparatus, we have taken a beaker and a test tube inside the beaker, and we are heating it over a tripod stand. The beaker is full of water and the test tube is full of alcohol. We place a leaf inside the test tube. This alcohol bleaches the leaf. That means it removes all the green color of the leaf. Later on, when this leaf is taken into a petri dish and iodine is added to it, the entire leaf turns blue-black in color. This blue-black color indicates the presence of starch. Starch is the form of food that is stored inside the leaf. Coming to the next experiment that shows that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. In this experiment, we take a variegated leaf. A variegated leaf is the leaf which has very tiny parts of green color and other colors along with it like yellow, purple, etc. When we perform the same experiment on this leaf, like we dip it in alcohol, we bleach the leaf and then we take it in a petri dish adding iodine solution to it, we will see that only the parts with green color in it will turn blue-black, whereas the remaining part will show no effect. So we understand that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. The next experiment that we are going to do here is to show that light is necessary for photosynthesis. In this process, what we have done is that we have taken a potted plant and placed it in shady area for 2 to 3 days. This ensures that the starch that was already there in the leaves has been consumed and the plant is de-starched. Next, we place a few black strips on one single leaf and we place the plant again outside under the sun. Within 2-3 hours, we will see that the leaves would have formed enough starch to conduct the experiment. The experiment is the same as in the previous 2 cases. We boil the leaf in alcohol, making sure that it is bleached of chlorophyll. Then we add iodine to it. We will see that the portions that were covered with the black strip will not turn blue-black in color. This is because light does not reach those black areas and no starch is prepared in the black areas. Let us do another experiment. Here in this experiment, we are going to understand how carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Like we did for the previous experiment, we are going to de-starch the plant and we are going to take the leaf of the de-starched plant and put it in a bottle like this. This bottle has got caustic potash in it. This caustic potash absorbs all the carbon dioxide. When we place the entire apparatus in the sun for 2-3 hours, when the plant has created enough starch in it and we perform the same experiment on this leaf, we will see that the portion that was inside the bottle has not turned blue-black in color, whereas the portion that was outside has turned blue-black in color when we added iodine to it, indicating that carbon dioxide is important for the process of photosynthesis. Now, just like human beings need a variety of nutrients, similarly, plants too need a variety of nutrients. We next understand if there are any other nutrients that the plants need. So, how does the plant obtain these other nutrients other than carbohydrates? The plants need protein for their growth and development, just like human beings. This protein is prepared using nitrogen. The nitrogen, however, is not freely available in the soil. It is available in the air. So there are certain plants like gram, pea, moong and soya bean that has got nodules in their roots. These nodules contain an important bacteria which is known as rhizobium. The rhizobium converts the atmospheric nitrogen into a soluble form which then goes up the roots to the plants. Now, very interesting fact is that it is only some plants that can fix atmospheric nitrogen and absorb it in order to make protein for the plant. The other plants cannot. So, what does a farmer do? A farmer does crop rotation. In crop rotation, a farmer alternately plants plants like bees and gram and crops like wheat, barley, etc. So this rotation of crops ensures that the soil is rich in nitrogen at all times. Till now, we have learned about autotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. Let us now understand if there is any other way of nutrition also in plants. Yes, there is. Just like animals, human beings, etc., non-green plants have another mode of nutrition which is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is basically deriving nutrition from outside, from somebody else. Here, we will learn about three main important heterotrophic modes of nutrition in plants. They are parasitic, saprophytic, and symbiotic. Learning first about parasitic mode of nutrition. A parasite essentially lives on the host body and derives nutrition from there. In case of parasitic plants, the plants develop special roots that penetrate inside the body of the host plant and derive nutrition from it. Parasitic plants are of two types. First are the types like Cuscuta or Dodder, who are totally non-green plants. The next example is of mistletoe. A mistletoe is not a non-green plant. It conducts photosynthesis inside its body, but it depends on the host plant for water and minerals. In this entire process, the host plant steadily and slowly dies out. The next mode of nutrition is saprophytic mode of nutrition. You must have seen fungi growing at the base of dead logs, on leather, old clothes, ripe fruits, etc. Saprophytic mode of nutrition involves the growing of organisms on organic matter. Organic matter is dead decaying matter. Here, the saprophytic organism gives out a digestive juice that breaks down the complex substances inside the body of its host into simpler substances. The third important mode of nutrition in plants is symbiotic mode of nutrition. In symbiotic mode of nutrition, both the persons involved, both the plants involved in the symbiotic mode are able to help each other. It is a relationship of mutual benefit known as mutualism. If you take the example of lichen, lichen is a form of life that has got both a fungus in it. The fungus contains water and minerals. The second kind of organism in a lichen is the algae. The algae contains chlorophyll to make their own food. In this way, both the organisms benefit from each other. Now, symbiotic relation is also seen in animal world. If you see the example of an egret and a buffalo, the egret rides on the buffalo for protection, and in return, it eats the lice and ticks that are on the body of the buffalo. In this way, the two organisms mutually benefit from each other. Another interesting category of plants is that of insectivorous or carnivorous plants. Now, the interesting character about these plants is that they are capable of conducting photosynthesis, but because they thrive in nitrogen deficient soils, they use tiny insects in order to obtain the nitrogen that is absent in the soil. This is the reason they are called as insectivorous or carnivorous plants. Now, we have learned many important things in this chapter. We have learned that animals and human beings depend directly or indirectly on plants to obtain nutrition. We have learned the different ways in which plants derive their nutrition. We have also learned about an amazing category of plants, that is the insectivorous plants. We have learned about the beautiful process of photosynthesis and the place where it takes place, which is the leaf or the food factory of the plant. So thank you so much.